ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, it is time for everybody's favorite segment. And I'm going to need flutes in the chat and in the comment section because it is time for Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.
This just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Here's just him going off on some random things. Just his take on thises and that's. One of which is the Nixon Newell. Everybody's tired of this. The Nixon Newell Miranda Alizé walkout. I get it. It happened. It's done. It's over with. But Dave had this to say. He says, one person who books independent talent said this about Nixon Newell after the collision incident. Now, I don't even believe this. One person who books independent talent, maybe some indie booker, but he could have just made this up / this could be any jabroni who books any indie. Dave says, this is what someone else said. Nixon isn't going to get work out of this. She wasn't getting work before. Or this could be Bryan saying it too. I actually don't know. This could be Bryan. It's in the newsletter. I don't know if just Dave writes the whole thing himself or if there's Bryan, like columns done by Bryan or whatever. But Nixon isn't gonna get work out of this. She wasn't getting work before and was crying about it. Holy, but she was. But no, it wasn't like crying about it, but she just did want too much money and like we saw it with Cora Jade. She's like, I'm just gonna do OF or whatever. I'm just gonna take lewd photos, make more money that way. This is crazy, right? So she realized that too. It's hard out there, and yeah, not everybody's as sought after on the indies or by AEW as I think they thought. She asked for way too much money and sells 0 tickets on her name alone. And this is the problem. Just usual WWE brain rot. No, see, this is what makes me think Dave made this up. Usual WWE brain rot. Look at how personally offended they get by AEW. You're a bunch of marks. I want you all to know this. Jesus Christ. Look how personally offended. Just brain rot from WWE. Okay, you mean like when JJ comes on the show and he books indies and he talks about how AEW people leave there and then they're charging too much on the indies. They do one shot on Collision and then they go back on the indies and are talking about we want this and that. It's like, come on, man. That's just a pro wrestling thing. You get a shot on TV. WWE brain rot. How about just pro wrestling brain rot, you marks? You sickos. We get it, man. You all want jobs. You're all sucking off the teat. We get it. Holy man. The standing is crazy. But whatever indie person said that, I mean, Tony's not going to suck your dick, dude. Chill. So Braun Strowman's show, Dave Meltzer had this to say about Braun Strowman's show and how it's a pretty big rating success, Brian. And it is. And they're trying to talk now like The Observer. They'd be burying Braun Strowman's ass. Sickos, everybody, even wackos, even WWE fans bury Braun Strowman's ass and his wrestling ability and how his knees are gone and all this. But they're like, oh, well, Braun Strowman's a big draw and all this. It's like, man, shut the fuck up. He's a big, giant, muscly former pro wrestler who thought, by the way, he was still going to be in WWE when he took on this show. He thought he was still going to be with WWE, by the way. I don't know if Dave had the scoop on that one. Either way, it was going to be some USA brand integration stuff, but they ended up cutting him, which was unexpected on his end. But either way, they're talking about, they're going to take over. They're taking over this time slot. And there's a conspiracy theory now about like, Braun Strowman. Did I call him Braun Breaker? I'm sorry. There's way too many Brauns. If he comes back, just be the Titan, be your real name, Adam Scher, or whatever his name is. We can't have more Brauns. But yeah, either way, here's what Dave's got to say.
Braun Strowman show, the one where he keeps eating everything on the menu. That, of course, it has the benefit of the SmackDown lead-in, but it did 533,000 viewers and 0.13. So it beat Dynamite. It beat NXT, which is on a network station. It beat it on a Friday night at 10, which is not even a good time slot. But of course, the reason is the lead-in. But still, the freaking Strowman show.
Of course, the reason is the lead-in.
Stupid idiot.
Where the has he ever said that about AEW? Unless it can't. Oh, we have talked about the Big Bang being a strong lead in, Brian. Nope. Dave talked one time. Remember they had that NBA game and then it crossed over into Collision. Then they opened that Grand Slam with like Omega and Ospreay, and he's like, "Well, clearly Omega and Ospreay and them were a draw." No, dude. People left their TVs on after the fucking game. Like, it's only because of the lead-in, but it's he would never say that about his favorite show.
Which the first
and the best
episode
guy
did very well, but then the second episode on the same night did not do well, and then last week on Halloween it did a not good number at all. But again, you can throw that one out. Now that we're in this episode, with a normal lead-in and everything like that, it's a pretty successful. It's a lot more successful than that Rainmaker show that they put on, which was probably a much better, much more expensive show and a much higher promoted show that they used SmackDown to draw a number in. And then, they did this nice artsy show, and they replace it with this show with Braun Strowman going to restaurants and eating a bunch of food. And
those shows always crush.
Beats it because it's Braun Strowman, and it's wrestling fans stayed to watch Braun Strowman eat. So that show, the rating for that show on Friday night was a pretty big success, actually. Pretty damn big success, especially this day and age.
Yeah, see, I could see WWE bringing a Braun Strowman back, but he would be extremely part-time and he would not get paid nearly as much as he was before. He was on that Vince money, you know what I'm saying? Moving along here, Dave Meltzer talked about Mike Santana losing the TNA title. And he just says the typical Mark thing. If it was in 3 months, sure. Why? Why if it's in 3 months? Then people go, he only got a 3-month reign. They had everybody melting down and talking about TNA, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, hopefully, that doesn't turn people off of the show entirely. Hopefully, that is the outcome. They're about to announce a TV deal and shit, and Dave's head's going to fucking explode. If they go on AMC, and we'll break down the numbers, Switchblade will give us an update on everything. But if TNA lands on AMC, they have the potential to do 400,000 viewers or greater eventually. And some people will be like, oh, come on now, Phil, what the fuck are you talking about? We've covered it on PWT live shows Wednesdays and Saturdays, where every station network, wherever the fuck, and I've said this a million times, wherever TNA's ended up, whether it's the Pop Network or Access or whatever, if the average show, and this is over the years consistently across the board, Spike TV, everything, if their average show does, I'm just making up a number, 100,000 viewers. TNA averages like 130,000 viewers or whatever the fuck. Switchblade broke it all down. So if they go on AMC, I think their average viewership's like 380,000 viewers is an average on a show currently. They have the potential to do like 400 and some thousand viewers. If they do, I mean, Dave's head's going to explode. So it's, you know what they
poor
say.
Poor people don't like AEW.
TNA. So let's listen to his take on the title switch here.
So
this was on a live show. Remember, guys, live on Thursday. Why? Because they want to go live on Thursdays. That's their day. Their whole rebranding and like, we're back. It all happened by going on Thursdays, right? And airing on Thursdays and then throwing these lives in. This was a TNA live. They're about to announce possibly an every week we're live show, TNA on Thursdays, AMC. Well, guess what? They want you to think any and everything could happen and a world title switch could happen. And maybe they wanted to try and pop a fucking number. And people were like, well, they didn't build up to it, whatever. That's fine. Here's the thing with TNA. Right now, they understand that they have their audience built in. Okay? They're going to do the numbers they're going to fucking do right now. And they're about to get a deal with it. So don't worry about that. Wait until it goes live every week and then start criticizing if they're not building up title matches and shit, right? But as of right now, they're coming off the back of a month off taping shit. They go live. That's at least my theory of why they did this. Anyways, let's hear what Dave had to say.
So what's going on with TNA? I knew they had a break in live television, and then they came back
And so someone in chat points out, Dave, dumb moment, Rainmaker wasn't replaced. The season ended, and they're filming season 2 now.
Liar!
So, again, he just does not study and learn the business.
Learn, Meltzer Inferno.
Santana lost his title to Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, it was a bunch of run-ins from NXT mid-level guys. I mean, it's like they basically did the the Dusty
A bunch of run-ins from NXT mid-level guys. He would never say about Yuta and Garcia and Pac, oh, a bunch of run-ins from mid-level guys, and he would never say that. It's just he's such a cunt.
Rhodes, Terry Funk, Harley Race angle, which was actually a hell of an angle in 1979. But the difference is that Lexus King and Charlie Dempsey and Brooks Jensen are not Terry Funk, and Mike Santana is not Dusty Rhodes. And
bro, you stan a fucking company that calls Yuta and Garcia the Rock and Stone Cold of the future. You're comparing them to the greatest of all time, bro. Keep the same fucking energy, buddy.
the difference is that Lexus King and Charlie Dempsey and Brooks Jensen are not Terry Funk.
They're not supposed to be, you fucking redact.
Mike Santana is not Dusty Rhodes. And trying to do that angle now is, I think the big thing is that they're being
by
WWE. And so they have to do what WWE wants, and it's a heat.
They have to do what WWE wants. Do you hear this shit? So the TNA guy dropping the TNA belt to the TNA guy on the live show. So instead of Dave going to the simplest answer, which is, well, they're about to announce a TV deal. The talks are of AMC. This is their live show. They're trying to shock people before the fucking live show. They want you to think anything can happen. They're likely going to go live every week, or maybe that's just speculation on my part. But instead of saying the obvious thing, he's melting down and saying they just bowed down to WWE. Well, look at the NXT guys running in. Yes, because TNA ran in, Dave, on all the NXT shows. I know you don't watch this stuff, and I know you don't really care, and I know you didn't see this. You had somebody there text you or DM you what happened, okay? But Dave, the TNA guys invaded NXT. NXT didn't necessarily invade TNA. They came over, some guys crossed over, some guys came and answered back for invasions that TNA pulled on NXT. And Dark State went into business for themselves in kayfabe. That's the storyline. They invaded NXT. Dark State invaded TNA. They're not repping NXT invading TNA. They are repping Dark State, just like when they invaded NXT. Do you get it, Dave? I know you don't watch this stuff. I know you don't really care. I know you're busy whacking it to Hichisero and dyeing your hair. I'm a poet and didn't know it. Doggy, you need to understand something here, man. You got to watch the shit if you're going to talk shit about it. You know, like people get mad that I talk shit about SmackDown or AEW or Dynamite. At least I watch the shit. At least I know what I'm talking about to some degree, whether you fucking agree with my opinion or not. The problem with Dave is like, no, we have to shut this down. This isn't even like they have to bow down and do what WWE wants. Why? Because the NXT lower level guys came in. That's mid-level, as Dave put it. Like, what are you talking about, man? That's the natural progression of this story. Now a bunch of NXT guys are going to come be the heels on TNA, on the TNA show. And when they're going to help them in the next step of this TNA deal, you're still going to see NXT guys, but they're trying to prop up their guys as the main guys. Santana, Kazarian. That's why they just let Joe Hendry go. Why? Because this TV deal's coming in, and Joe Hendry can't be like, I'm the face of TNA, and then he just dips the fuck out anyways in January, right? So they made the decision now. Okay, Joe Hendry's more a WWE guy. Let's let it be known. That's why that happened. Like, it's so simple to see this. Dave just has he has a gap in logic. What did he say earlier about Stevie Richards? When you have that logic gap, that's what Dave's doing. That's why you're a shill-ass liar. Did I make every point I want to make on this fraud, on this certain topic? I know I'm going off. Yeah, he just doesn't see the writing on the wall. The natural progression of the story is, okay, so Lexus King and them are on NXT. They'll promote the TNA show on NXT, like, oh, Lexus King will be over there to fight whoever the fuck, and it's still helping them, but it's establishing, like, okay, the TNA guys are above these. Now you're going to see these TNA guys beat the shit out of all these NXT guys, and it's going to help them with whatever's coming next. Dude, it's just TNA was running roughshod in NXT. Let's remove all the TV deal shit out of it. Just the storyline alone. TNA was running roughshod in NXT. Now NXT's doing it back. And this isn't like WWE's going, Frankie Kazarian has to be the champ. Why? They're about to fucking take Mike Santana. He's about to go to their company too whenever his deal's up in TNA. So why would they want their guy to get beat? It's just stupid.
Goal.
It's illogical.
WWE probably wants those mid-level guys to get some attention and some time that they're not getting on NXT, and that's just how it's done. I would not have, I would have really balked on that. I think that it's too soon. Like if it was in 3 months, sure, go do it.
Sure, go do it, because that's why that's the wrong idea, Dave. Sure, go do it, because that's what you do in wrestling. The predictable, easy thing, instead of fucking doing a misdirection and keeping people on their toes and having the timeline blow up all day about it. And then when Santana wins it back, the whole timeline's going to blow up. Fuck yeah, they listen to the fans. They deserve it, Santana, or whatever he does next. Instead of thinking like long term and what's going to help both companies, Dave's just short-sighted and doesn't really care. He just wants to knock TNA. Sicko Vecna just wants to knock fucking TNA. So the Mind Flare sends out the signal to all the little Demogorgon sickos, Sickagorgons. And they all fucking they sit there and think that this is they're just bowing down to WWE. So they put the title on Kazarian, dude. Did you even really think that out before?
Are you sure about that?
Moving along.
But like right away, I think that's a bad idea.
And that is his opinion, but I'm here to roast Meltzer's opinions. I don't give a fuck. Because when people give their opinions or ask him questions, he goes, fuck you. If you read my Bible, my 8 million words on Tony Khan, on the best guy, you know the answer to that question. It's in the eye of the beholder more than meets the eye, Brian. So Dave talks about WWE stuff more specifically, right? We were kind of all over the place there, but with some miscellaneous news. But, Dave, again, with an infamous Dave Meltzer spin, he's pretending here again that fed bad again, evil fed bad again, even though they're willing to work with wrestlers. We're seeing them partner up with more promotions. We're seeing them bring people like Dolph Ziggler back for one-offs and Matt Cardona back for one-offs and really giving the people what they want, going all out to make sure like Roman and Brock are there for the fans. Like the fans want that shit. They're going to go all out to try and bring Jericho in and stuff. Dave knows this too. And they're not opposed to working with any company, and they're the biggest company in the world. So even if they're like, yeah, we'll give you Shinsuke, no AEW people on this show, that's well within New Japan's rights to do a fucking deal like that. Now, Dave, listen to, I don't know. To me, he's just making shit up here. According to Dave, Shinsuke and Tanahashi discussed having Tanahashi's final match. Oh, really, dude? Who the fuck said that besides you? Did Tanahashi-san tell Tony that he talked to Shinsuke, then Tony told Dave? Like, that's the only way Dave would know this. Dave says this definitively. Nakamura wanted to do it. Whoa, how do you know that? Nakamura wanted to do it.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
What? Shinsuke. And hey, I will gladly, if Shinsuke went, yes, I did. If he went, oh, come on, and then hit me with the good vibrations and then was like, yes, I did do, I did say this. Okay, then I fucking retract this little bit of my Dave roast, but like, what? Nakamura wanted to do it. When did you talk to him? Did you just make that up? So Tanahashi and Nakamura absolutely discussed it. Okay, how does he know that? I'm not even saying he didn't hear that, but you got to tell people how you know that. I talked to them both. That's what you need to say. As a journalist, you can't just be like, they both wanted to do this shit. That's crazy, man. I don't know if Dave talks to Tanahashi's son. I'm actually not sure if they have a relationship or not. But do you guys think, and chat can let me know, the comment section can let me know.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
Do you guys think that Tone talked to Tanahashi's son about this and then Tone went and confirmed it to Dave? I could totally see it. Now that we're seeing Tony call him live on the air, like, absolutely. On his personal phone. Do you know him? Do you call him at home? 100% I could see Tony like marking out over, yeah, they talked about it and everything, but we got it done. Okada forever. We know that's what happened here at PWT. Did you know that? Tony Khan absolutely blocked it. I could just as easily say that. That's what's crazy. Here's the thing, though. In my opinion, if I speculate on this situation, what I have to think about it is Two Cup Tone for surely caught wind of this story when it started being talked about he got Okada in there. Like, there's the relationship aspect. Tanahashi likes his relationship with AEW. He likes Tony. So for surely I could see this story getting out there and then Tony Khan meeting with Tanahashi and being like, please, Okada, he's your greatest rival. And that's why they're now pushing that narrative. And a lot of people debate that. There's Nugmark speaking up and being like, Okada wasn't Tanahashi's greatest rival. You can't discount this guy and that guy, right? It's funny. It's kind of funny how this played out. Dave just talking a lot of shit, and now Nugmarks are like, hell nah. But I mean, they're pumped to see Okada versus Tanahashi. Who wouldn't be? I mean, Tanahashi can't really move anymore, so it won't be the most exciting match. But if you watch New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom, there's always like an old guy or three who fucking are having a retirement match in like a 6-man. You see that at Wrestle Kingdom, so I'm down to see it. Okay, just for the final time, whatever. It's again, when you don't watch, it's like AEW. If you just watch the pay-per-views, I mean, you'll probably be turned off by a lot of it, but it's also just funny to talk about or like watch, or sometimes you can have a good time where you're like, okay, if you isolate this match, if you isolate this event, yeah, AEW can do some good shit from time to time. It's the same with New Japan for me. Like, if I watched it every week, I don't know if I don't even know what they do anymore and what's televised and what's just on New Japan World. Is it all on New Japan World? I have no clue, other than like their ticket sale business, and the hype around New Japan has largely died off. But Wrestle Kingdom, I won't like stay up to watch it at the time it fucking airs, but I will throw it on the next day 100%. Like, I'll do that every year, you know? I'm cool with either of these opponents, but what Dave Meltzer wants to do is make it, well, Nakamura for surely wanted to do this, but Fed didn't let him do it. So, and it's not because Tony got involved and said, no, we have to make it Okada. We're partnered with them. Again, the simplest answer, the most logical answer would be, and not that that's a bad thing. That's part of the partnership. Are you partnered with us or them, dude? You know, we'll stop poaching you. I swear to fucking God, if you don't let it be Okada. But like, that's the logical answer. That Tony was like, no, dude, it's got to be Okada. Like, we're partnered. I mean, I love Shinsuke, but really think about it, Tanahashi-san, please. Dave talking about logical gaps. He has a logical gap because of the Just for Men. And he's saying Nakamura wanted to do it. Tanahashi and Nakamura absolutely discussed it. As far as why it didn't happen, whether the decision was made, if Tanahashi is going to retire against his most legendary opponent, that's Okada. It's not Nakamura. So right there, it tells me it's because Tony Khan went in the room and pitched, well, I mean, you know, Okada's a greater legendary opponent than Nakamura. Like, that's the mark thing. Who are the two biggest marks in the world? Dave and Tone. And then Bryan, close runner up.
Bryan.
That's how it comes across to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm too smart for these motherfuckers. Maybe I just overanalyze this shit too much, but I like to think that's why you guys tune in, is for these base takes over here. So Dave goes, from a political standpoint. So again, the simplest answer, okay, so from a political standpoint, Nuge and AEW have politics together, right? They do politics together. They fucking work together. They're partnered. So politically, it would be AEW. You do it with Okada. You do it with Tone's guy, right? Dave fucking makes it about WWE. From a political standpoint, obviously Okada is an easier one. You can get that one done with no problem. Okay, true. With Nakamura, you got to work with WWE. What WWE would ask for, we don't know. I never heard anything that WWE had worked out a deal with them and Tony Khan got in the way. I never heard that from WWE. Okay, good. It's good that he's theorizing on that. But before, we played a clip where, and again, I don't know, I didn't double dip here, but you can go back. We chronicle this here at PWT, where he was saying some completely other shit. So now he's changed his tune a little bit. But again, it's like, what would WWE ask for? Nothing. Didn't they just send Nakamura out there to retire KG, the Great Muta? Didn't they just send him out there? Like, what happened? He went in the Hall of Fame. Okay, that's awesome, but they would have inducted him at any point anyways. Like, it's the great fucking Muda. I mean, that would have just happened. It's not like they had to do. If they asked the great Muda any year, I'm sure he would have accepted, especially after he retired. So it's like there's no real. I think they'd be cool to do it, but at the same time, I could see them pulling some petty shit like, no AEW guys or something. But also politically, the only thing, we don't even need to make this about WWE. All you have to say is politically, it makes the most sense that it's AEW considering their partnership. Boom. But again, Dave has to bring up WWE. And he's sort of flip-flopping here. You guys can pull that clip from the other show. We're tired of talking. Some of these topics we're tired of talking about, but Dave is coping over them later, and we must chronicle it all. Dave Meltzer had this to say, and this is a while, and we read this on the show again, but we are double dipping here because it's just a quick post. So on the 10th, this is 10 days ago, Time Cop! Drew McIntyre was written off WWE television because he'll be filming a movie. So Niccolo Piccolo jumped all over his ass and was like, no, that's not true. Or whatever. I don't even think he said that. He just roasted him. Dave got this completely wrong. Drew McIntyre showed up on the next fucking SmackDown, Claymored the ref, joined the Vision, is now in War Games and all this shit. Dave just epically failing again. And it's because he doesn't study and learn. He doesn't know about the movie business. He doesn't know about the key demo or Wagyu beef, and he doesn't listen to PWT. So he does listen. He just won't acknowledge as much. But Niccolo Piccolo's like, oh, really? And he's like, I thought Dave said Drew would be gone for a while because he's shooting a movie. And yeah, he just completely got that wrong. And so, Drew Claymored the ref, then he got suspended is the storyline, but then he just came back from suspension. Whatever. Okay, we talked about it here. I broke it down extensively. Henry Cavill got fucking hurt, and that pushed back the production and the announcement of Drew being in that fucking Highlander movie that they announced. And Henry Cavill's out until like 26 or whatever. And I think all of production's halted till 26 next year. I think this year coming up, right? We're almost there. But Dave has to post this. WWE announces Survivor Series War Game team changes. Fucking amazing. Yeah. Fucking amazing, dude. And then Dave fails again. He fails again at Survivor Series. So he says that they are not going with the Dream Team for Survivor Series. And he's calling it a Dream Team because it's his fantasy Mark book Dream Team. And he gets this entirely wrong. And this is why I don't believe him when he's like, Nakamura for surely talked about it. Who are you sourcing in WWE? Like, what's going on? Whoever his stooges are purposefully tell him wrong shit because there's no way he gets this much shit blatantly wrong. And maybe Dave will say like, oh, well, the Usos don't count as part of the Dream.
Idiot.
This is the most stacked War Games ever. Okay. And Dave just fails again. And he says they're not going with the Dream Team for Survivor Series. And then we all saw what they're doing at Survivor Series, and it's fucking insane. Both teams are the Dream Teams. So here's Dave's take on this. I don't know when this was recorded either. If he's saying this after Raw, I think he recorded this before the last Raw aired at MSG. And I think he actually, because he talks about how they're going to stack the MSG show in this clip.
The Survivor Series match is going to be finalized probably Monday. They're probably going to have a hell of a show at the Garden. I had some ideas on what I thought they would do, and they're not doing
Why would anyone listen to your ideas? They're not doing any of my ideas. Exactly, because you have bad ideas. If that's not this shit, one of the most that they're doing, one of the most amazing Raws, reminds you of just why the fuck you love WWE. They always deliver, even when it's in a lull and shit. They always just hit you with something where you're like, damn, War Games is going to rule. Superstar after superstar. And Dave Meltzer, all of your dumb ideas is what Tony Khan's doing. Literally, because you're pitching him ideas. You revealed that. That shit all stinks and nobody watches it, you know?
Any of them? So I figured, why not do Cena, Roman Reigns, Punk, Jey Uso,
Cena, Roman Reigns, Punk, Jey Uso, and
what's the other one? And Cody Rhodes, and make it
Rhodes.
like a dream team,
because this is like a dream team. The Usos together are like one of the greatest tag teams of all time, arguably the greatest of all time. Some people would argue that. Some E-drones would argue that. And they are, because it's the Usos with Rhodes and Punk and Roman. And then you have just all of the interpersonal dynamics that they've established between Punk and Jimmy and Jay, and then Rhodes with Jay feuding the bloodline, but also being tag champs with Jay, but also Roman with the Usos and Punk and Rhodes. It's fucking bonkers. And Brock on the other side of the cage. It's bonkers. This way's way better. And then Cena can feud Dom because he's only got a few. What are you going to put him in a War Games, Dave? And just have him do what? Jump off the cage, Dave? Is that what you want to see? Like, it's just, he always has the worst short-sightedest, everything all at once, just TikTok brain, do a million flips, 5 stars, clapping like a baby with keys in front of him.
Babyface team in War Games. Now, I can tell you that that's not happening because I thought, like, what a great idea. And I was just told, not even close. Also, Ray and Dominic are not wrestling in San Diego. So I did find that out too. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means Cena and Dom is still on or they're going in a different direction than they were going. Because the Cena and Dom title change was going to be in San Diego originally. Not
How the fuck do you know that? It was going to be there. How do you know? They just booked the rematch. How do you know the long-term plan wasn't get a couple matches out of it? Because we really want, and people are like, if Cena had it his way, Brian's like, I think we went over this on the last live show. Brian's like, if Cena had it his way, he'd be working with these younger talents and shit. And it's like, well, he's working Dom
in Boston. But it made sense to be in Boston, Cena's hometown, put it on Raw.
I would be perfectly fine with John Cena putting over Dom at Survivor Series. And then
putting over Dom, that doesn't make any sense.
It does.
Meltzer, it does and it doesn't either way. Do you get it? That's why WWE's cooking right now. We actually want to see who's going to win this fucking match. This is how you know each of Cena's last wins matter, because every entry into the tournament, or last matches rather, wins and losses matter a whole shitload, is because every opponent and everybody who's entered this tournament, we're all marking out and debating what the fuck, even these guys. That's why it's interesting that it could go either way. But for Dave to say that doesn't make sense, no, it makes sense for Cena to lose all of these matches if he lost them all. You know, he already started putting over the net. He already put over Solo. He already put over Austin Theory. He already started the process of like, I could win the title. I might lose the title. I'm on the verge. I can wrestle the mid-card guys, but Dom's got a real shot against me. I'm old man Cena, right? So it does make sense. I'm with Tryon Bryan on this one.
You just want him to beat Gunther and then vacate the title?
I don't know, but Cena and Gunther was always scheduled to be a title match.
For the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, it was always that idea. It was always scheduled to be that.
That tells me Gunther's winning. I don't like it.
No,
don't like it.
Yeah, whatever, man. Dave can have
the Survivor Series
little opinion on that, but the problem is that within that clip, and I didn't harp on it too much because I did previously. He's like, absolutely not. They're not. No way they're going with a dream team. Absolutely not. And then the teams are both just like uber stacked. And it's like, what were you saying, Dave? No all-star teams? Like, so Dave Meltzer, he glazes the best guy here a little bit. I actually don't know. I bookmarked this right before I jumped on the air. So Dave on Tony Khan's interview on Ariel Helwani. So I talked about it on PWT live show. We covered it for like fucking an hour and a half. We went through a bunch of the clips of the interview, and I thought Tony Khan had a good showing. Carnies are going to carny. I'm not here glazing Tony Khan. I ripped him and his bullshit lies to shreds during that thing. You know, it was funny. It was a good watch, I guess. And I'm not as triggered as a lot of people by Ariel, like as far as him not pushing the issue. Again, I just broke it down extensively on the show, and I implore you all to check it out. So that's PWT Live Show, and that was episode 200, which is fantastic. And we've done over 100 podcasts of PWT Podcast, and this is the 8th Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week, Brian. So spectacular shit, but I am curious to hear Dave Meltzer's thoughts on the best guy on Ariel Helwani.
What do you think about Tony's appearance on Ariel's show?
I don't know. It's like he was good as far as being, politician.
He certainly answered more questions than usual.
If I had done that interview with him, he would have said the exact same thing. It's a completely different interview than the last.
This is like a Dave. If I had have done that, he's just jealous of Ariel.
Last one was not good because he kept trying to focus on Brawl Out, right? And it was right after that.
See, and then he's blaming Ariel. Well, the last one wasn't good because Ariel Helwani, not the best guy.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
What the fuck,
poor people don't like AEW.
And he went on that show. He'd be doing the same. I can't talk about it.
Why the fuck wouldn't he talk about it? Why wouldn't he focus on that? And the other thing, too, is Ariel didn't only make it about that. He got frustrated because when he tried to make it about other things, Tony Khan just kept saying, I can't talk about everything, pretty much. And he just kept dancing around questions. Now, he did a lot of that face-to-face with Ariel Helwani this time as well. But he did answer honestly about things like him saying, I don't know the numbers. Whether that's a lie or not, he presented it as if it was the truth. And he said it with a straight face to Ariel. And if we were to take him at his word, it's humiliating either way. Because if he said, yes, I do know the numbers, then the follow-up is, well, what are the fucking numbers? Which he won't say. Then he'd hit tiptoe again. So he says, I don't know the numbers. Let's take him at his word. You don't know the fucking numbers, bro? Not even for the pay-per-views? Not even for like Blood and Guts? Not even for your big episodes? You're just guessing? Dude, they're just running the ringer on fucking old Tone there, Steamboat Tone at WBD. They're just fucking cashing checks on this guy too. They're marking him in for sure. If that's what's if nobody can get you some numbers, dude, you don't have numbers on none of that shit this whole time. I don't believe that. I don't even know if I believe that, but you got to get those numbers for Blood and Guts and shit, dude. Like, how would you not? How would you not demand it? How do you not have a guy like Niccolo Piccolo who will fucking figure it, buddy? He'll get the numbers. Hire a guy like that. Not even Nick. I get it. You hate Nick. I always put over Nick, but he's the one dropping the free game. He drops so much free game. It's like you can't even keep up with it all. It's almost like I don't even want to know all this. I'm going to start agenting. No, you want to know it all. If you're like one of these TV, you're trying to break down the whole TV biz and how it works as far, but some of it just like goes over your fucking head, or you're really, if you're not in that world. But Dave claims he's in that world. So Tony Khan wants to be in that world. Get a guy. Well, we won't use Niccolo Piccolo. We'll say Ari Gold from fucking Entourage, right? Get an Ari Gold who's fucking knocking on doors and phoning people and going, hey, what are these fucking numbers? Give me a ballpark, It's crazy. It was a crazy claim either way. So Dave's sitting there going, oh, well, he danced around. It was political. I mean, he's kind of being critical of Tone, but it seems more like a jealous ex-girlfriend, like, oh, if it was with me, he would have said the same thing. Okay, then get the interview. You're just jealous of Ariel, dude. And you still are mad because this is why. Don't forget, Dave Meltzer jumped on the sicko brigade, and he helped galvanize a bunch of fucking sickos after that first interview with Ariel Helwani, and he helped lend credence or credibility, if Dave has any left, to the notion that Ariel Helwani is friends with Nick Khan and knows this guy and that guy, and so the interview would be biased, and Ariel gave a biased interview. That's what Dave helped propagate online after that fucking interview. He encouraged that discourse 100%. So that's why he's just jelly belly right now. He's not really actually. I mean, I don't even know. Dave's just fucking. He's jealous of Ariel. That's what it is.
Not good because he kept trying to focus on Brawl Out, right? And it was right after that, and he went on that show. He'd be doing the same. I can't talk about it. This one, the only one he didn't really want to talk about was
Andrade.
Andrade. He wouldn't talk about Andrade. Everything else. Jericho, he didn't give an answer, but he gave the same answer he would give to anybody else. And the Jericho question's been asked a million times. I think the Britt Baker, where he basically outright said
the Jericho question. See, he's just dismissing what Ariel asked him. Hey, redact. Ariel's talking to people more of a general casual audience than just sickos. You're in a bubble, Dave. This is how you know Dave's in a bubble. He doesn't understand what type of interview that was. This wasn't a sicko bubble interview. This was an interview for more casual MMA people who might try and get more into the pro wrestling thing. Wrestling fans for sure. But also, it's Ariel has been interviewing more wrestlers and shit like that. He also interviews Channing Tatum and shit like that. He's getting this out to more of a casual, broader audience. And that's why people are saying this is a good look. Because any casual watching that interview, if they go in the comment section or look on Twitter, they're going to be like, what the fuck's wrong with these people? This guy seemed totally normal. And then if they spent like a week or a month or years like Dave going into the ins and outs and then discovering, all the shit that we talk about. That's why you come to PWT. I break it down on my show and we go back to, well, Tony called them bald assholes and shit. Like people don't know about all that fucking stuff. And they don't know how he's just selectively picking little data points to put his shit over. But that's the point of this type of interview. It's not a sicko interview like with you, Dave. That's why he asked about Karrion Kross, because Karrion Kross can get millions of views on his YouTube and shit still. Rusev, because Rusev's a big fucking name. He rode to a tank to fight John Cena. He rode on a tank to the ring to fight John Cena at a fucking WrestleMania. That's huge, dude. He asked about Jericho. That's a huge fucking name. He did ask about Britt Baker because she's popular to AEW fans and whatnot. And he's trying to, this is obviously an interview for obviously this is an interview for AEW fans as well. But Dave does this elitist bullshit. And like he'd said, he just dismisses Ariel's question. Jericho's been asked a million times. Dave was on the media call for Full Gear that was going on before this show started. Time Cop. And Dave Meltzer and some of the people on this media call for Full Gear were asking Tony Khan the same fucking questions that Ariel asked on this thing. The media are fucking hacks, dude. I'm sorry, especially the dirt sheet wrestling media. It's already sickos. Ask the pressing shit. These media calls, Tony Khan, AEW media calls aren't mainstream by any means. So ask the sicko shit. That's who it's marketed for, right? Ask sicko shit. Don't re-ask the casual questions that Ariel Helwani. The casual fan is like, oh man, we're chanting Jericho again. Is he coming back on Raw? Oh, there's rumors Jericho's coming back. Holy shit. So Ariel's going to ask about that. Don't dismiss his fucking question. He conducts a way better interview than you ever could, Dave. You let Tony go off on these Spurg tangents, and you Spurg tangent. And now I'm Spurg tangenting.
If she would be back, I have
hit the like.
No idea why she isn't at this point, especially with just doing that tag team tournament. The idea we want to bring her back at the right time. They had a show in Pittsburgh. There couldn't have been more of a right time. It just felt like she was one of those people that were just on ice, as many people are. But he actually pretty much gave the impression she would be back. So that was new. Aside from that, I didn't really sense anything new other than I think that both of them went in there with the idea, Ariel had already been,
which is fair, but Dave's like, I didn't see anything new in that interview. Fair. However, don't dismiss Ariel's questions though, as if they weren't the right approach, especially when they're trying to get on good footing. There was a lot of them like, okay, we're in person. We're squashing shit, let's be cool. So I don't know what Dave expected from this. I don't know what anyone expected. I expected it to be these questions. Jericho. I didn't expect him to get off questions like Cross, Miro, Britt Baker. I didn't expect all that. I honestly didn't even expect much. Well, the ratings talk. He even brought up the sickos. He's even like, man, do you see your fans? They come after me. And what? We didn't watch that clip. We'll bring it to the show. Maybe I'll clip it and we'll bring it to the next PWT live show on Sicko Saturday. Time Cop. But Ariel was like, yeah, your sicko fans, like they came after me and shit. I don't know if he used the word sicko. I can't remember, but he's like, yeah, they come after me. And then Tony Khan was like, yeah, well, you said some really good things. And he even brought that up. I didn't even expect him to do that. And it's because if you guys didn't see the interview, the stuff that you don't see clipped is that Tony does extend his time with Ariel. Like, he was supposed to have him for like 30 minutes. He ended up getting him for like an hour 20. And Tony just stayed and kept answering questions. And Ariel kept him on track, didn't let him go off on these tangents, and just kept rifling off questions, question after question after question. Again, on the live show, we broke down how Tony was like lying about the CM Punk and the rating shit and all of that. But I would pause it and talk for 15 minutes about, it's like Ariel, the whole show could just be about the CM Punk thing. But Ariel had limited time with him, so he's trying to get each answer that he can pull from this guy. And I thought it was a solid interview, and I thought Tony looked great, but I nitpicked the shit out of it and made fun of it because I'm a sicko. If you're just like a casual, it was a good showing, and you have to be able to look at things objectively sometimes, chat. Okay? PWT universe. And I know you guys do, but you have to be able to take yourself out of your subjective viewpoint and then look at things like from the outside looking in. How did that interview come across? Let's say you were just someone who's like, oh, I love Ariel Helwani show. Yeah, I'm kind of in MMA. I like pro wrestling. WWE's doing good shit. Oh, is this the AEW guy? I haven't really seen that show. What is this guy about? It was a good showing of an interview. You're gonna know the fucking ins and outs about him lying about the ratings and the BJ Bethel and all this. You're not gonna know about that shit. Anyways, though,
getting AEW guests. I mean, I think that they just felt that his platform is big enough that it benefits them, even if, there were some things that happened in the last one. And, Ariel calling him snowman and everything probably was not the greatest thing and all. But I'm sure that there were private apologies that have been sent out long before any of this happened. They're fine. They did the thing. And that's that.
Yeah, I think Ariel had to apologize. And Tony makes it clear during that interview, like, well, you said nice things, so now I'm willing to talk to you again. This last part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, and I told you guys wasn't going to go 3 hours. Your boy Phil don't miss, man. I fucking told you guys.
It's just in from Phil Marks of PWT. Perfect. He says, I told you so.
Not that we can't go long. Not that we can't go Broadway. Not that we can't go Ric Flair. But I told you guys we were going to, get this show down to a reasonable time, roasting Dave every week. Tony Khan, we're going to end it with a Tryin' Bryan. Okay, we're talking about Tony Khan here, but I wanted to end it with Bryan Alvarez and his fake outrage, faux rage bait fucking videos, clips he posts, right? And then he gets upset and rages when people just watch the clips that he puts out, that they put out at the Observer, and then go, well, why didn't you say, yeah, I criticized the ref the whole time. Yeah, but you didn't clip that, asshole. So it is what it is. But Bryan Alvarez has this to say, that Tony Khan is booking for sickos like himself. And we talked about this on the live show, but I just wanted to play this rant again because Bryan gets worked up and does this thing where he comes to these fucking epiphanies that we all understand. Like, we know that he's booking for just the sickos. The problem is that you're all trying to talk like it's the challenger brand. That's what they refer to themselves. They take shots at WWE. The wrestlers do. He does. They say they're going to beat Raw. They say that they're going to beat fucking WWE. And it's like, boo-hoo. Who cares? They can talk shit, but it's like they're talking shit so people criticize them based on the shit they've talked. Everybody's saying, oh, they're the number 2 or they're going to be the number 1, and they're beating WWE in these certain ways. So the people who want to debunk that are going to point out that you can't just book for sickos, which Bryan also points out. But he's like getting upset over this thing that we all fucking understand already. So here's Tryin' Bryan to close out this show.
Why does Tony book his
national
clips. Wrestling company like it's an indie show?
Because, listen, it's his.
But at least whoever this guy is here, this big guy here, at least he's keeping it real. And at least when Bryan's away from Dave, he will be more critical. Again, this is the problem. Last time I played bass Meltzer flutes and gave them both the benefit of the doubt. Even though I played a bunch of bass flutes for them, the fucking next day, Dave had like a big crybaby meltdown, and he just went off and was defending AEW like crazy and saying all this salacious shit. So I regretted it. But again, I give Tryin' Bryan, that's why he has multiple nicknames. I give him some credit for trying. and he is being critical, and Dave was a little critical of Tony Khan there, but I'm always trying to find the ulterior motive. Like, the motive is that Dave helped perpetrate the Sicko Brigade against Ariel Helwani, assumed, I guess, that he would, or lended credence to the fact that Ariel could be in TKO's back pocket or Nick Khan's back pocket somehow, that sort of thing. And Dave Meltzer, so I think it's sour grapes. That's why he was critical of Tony Khan in the Ariel interview. I don't think it's because he's actually starting to criticize Tony Khan. So I'm not going to give him a bass flute for that. Bryan, when he's with Filthy Tom Lawler and he's with this big dude here and he's with Lance Storm, they get critical of AEW a little bit more. So, it's where Bryan's trying a little bit more. But we're going to go from 0 to 100 real quick in these next 3 clips with Bryan's faux outrage.
It's money.
I understand.
And this is what he likes.
I understand.
It's just like this show. It's my show. I'll do whatever I want. He doesn't care.
Truth be told.
He likes
that's
matches.
a problem.
He likes wrestling matches.
Yes, it's a problem.
That's his favorite thing. And so he books wrestling matches. He thinks of a bunch of matches he wants to see. So he books backwards to do angles in matches.
Well, sometimes.
To set up other matches.
Sometimes he just throws matches out
Or he
there.
just throws matches out.
Yes.
He likes matches. He likes wrestling and he likes belts.
Right. Uh-huh.
But if he's the
More
only
power to the guy.
So then don't argue that that's better than anything else. You know what I mean? Then just shut the fuck up and watch it. Like that's what everybody's been saying this whole time. Stop worrying about WWE. Stop calling them Harvey Weinstein. Stop the wrestlers. Quit taking shots. But they made that their identity to where now Fletcher goes on any wrestling show and all he gets asked about is WWE shit, and that's the only clips that go viral. No one gives a fuck about anything else Ospreay or Fletcher or anybody else has to say, unless it's about WWE. Even Jericho. The only clips from his fucking pod that have been, he's still been doing his pod and shit. The only times it's going viral is when he's like, TNA looks good. Oh, hey, WWE did this thing. No one's talking about anything else from it, okay? So, I mean, I get what Bryan's saying here. And Bryan said it, man. He said it for a while. Like, he books for the sickos. Bryan's always maintained that, which is absolutely correct. And so, again, trying Bryan. It's like, stop. Like, we understand this. You don't need to melt down about this right now at this current. Like, this isn't going to convince people it's good.
He's the only one that cares about it.
And this guy's trying to tell you, yeah, but it's not good. And Bryan just won't say that part.
Going to sell tickets.
Who cares?
Who cares? That's the problem. Who cares about selling tickets? Okay, then so it's not the wrestling business. So I don't want to hear about Booker of the Year. I don't want to, because what is the Booker's job? Well, you just put 2 guys in there who have a great match. No, that's the wrestler's part of the job, is to have the great match. You could put Flair in there with a fucking broomstick if the story's told correctly, and that's the Booker's job. How do we get there? The Booker isn't just you make these matches. So again, when Bryan does this cope, who cares? I can't stand that. You motherfuckers care. This is why BJ Bethel's making up fake numbers and shit. This is why people are doing that. This is why everyone's arguing over it. The fans care. It doesn't sell tickets. Then why are you doing this? Then be a billionaire sicko who hosts matches on a private yacht or in your backyard and film it and keep the tapes in your fucking tape library. Like, then what's the point of all of this? Just to give wrestlers money? There's a more effective way you could do that. Set up a thing and work with other promotions who are actually trying to draw money and make people money and make this a thing that, a wrestling pop mainstream again, the way WWE's been trying to do. And stop worrying about NXT beating Dynamite every week then. Why are we even having these discussions? If it's who cares,
He's booking the matches he wants to see.
That's a bad business plan.
Because here's the thing.
Not always, though. Sometimes the matches, it's not like Tony Khan hasn't put together matches that would have been better if they told the story better. It's not like that hasn't happened. So that's not even necessarily true either. I'm siding with Tone now again. I'm on Tone. I'm over him now.
Looking for sickos like himself.
It's
the
true.
rest of you, fuck you. Either you like it or you don't.
It's fine.
That's the way he does.
No. But here's the problem. Everyone cries victim when people say they don't like it. So it's fuck you. And then when you go, well, fuck you too. This is garbage. Well, fuck me. You can't say fuck me. How dare you say fuck me? Eat drone, paid off shill, old podcast. That's what we got to deal with the sickos, bro. So I get it, Brian, but tell this to your boss. Literally tell Dave to pick up his fucking phone and tell this to Dave Meltzer.
Does it?
But yeah, so Brian there, obviously, you got to give him some props, right? He is at least being critical and he's pointing out the obvious. Like, obviously, he's being jovial and he's saying, look, it's the Chappelle sketch because fuck him. That's why, right? And he does have a point there. Like, in fairness, if you're a billionaire, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, all right. I'm not mad at Tony. Billionaire's gonna billionaire. I've always maintained that. So again, Brian being obviously jovial in that clip, but this is where sort of the faux outrage begins, because in that clip, you can't tell, like, is he joking around or not when he starts doing this shit? I think it's faux. I think it's fake outrage when it comes to the WWE shit and the Miro shit. And this next one, I don't even think makes much sense. So speaking of Tony Khan, he was on Ariel Helwani's show. We went over all of that. And Brian has some thoughts on when he was asked about Miro, a.k.a. Rusev, a.k.a. Miroslav Rusev.
Also talked about Miro. Of course, the story was that Miro didn't want to, it didn't work for me, brother, over and over again. Didn't want to do jobs, didn't want to do this or that. And Tony said, I think he and I at times had different visions of things. This is such a political answer. I think he and I just at times had different visions of things. That's okay, because everyone is entitled to different opinions and different ideas. We just kind of drifted into some different ideas of what we should be doing, and that's okay. That resulted in him never, ever doing anything. Tony's like a really nice guy. That's actually one of his problems. When he says it's okay because everyone is entitled to different opinions and different ideas, you're the boss.
You're the
you
booker.
Hired him. You are paying him money. You tell him what to do, and he does it. If he doesn't like it, then you fire him and you stop paying him, and then whatever.
Yeah, no shit. Like, Dave, pick up the phone and tell him that. He calls you. Tell him what he just said, what Brian just said. For the love of God, if Tony called me on the phone, I would just say all this shit to him. And I wouldn't be so fucking animated about it, right? It'd be a much friendly, like Ariel, we'd squash the beef. I'd be on the kismet, dude. But yeah, when Tone's like, we have different, yes, it's a political answer. At least Brian's calling it. I think he was calling it out to Dave there too. Again, I don't want to give these guys too much credit. I'm hesitant to. You guys can tell this week. I'm like, oh, we can't play bass flutes. Last time I did, man, it got thrown in my face. When it comes to Miro, there's certain people who they are intent on burying, like Miro right now, because of the whole debacle with he had a knee injury, and like Rusev calls out Dave, so they want to hyper focus on him or an Aleister Black and be like, fuck this guy, right? Or these guys. So that seems obvious as well. But Brian is spitting here. I'm going to be honest, man. Like, Tony's got to put his foot down. Dave just sits back and is like, right, yeah, I mean, he should have forced him to work, should have made him whatever. But the problem is that Tony was okay with freezing people, and he was okay tiptoeing around and sending people home and all this shit and just having them sit at home. And the problem is that he brought Miro in and a lot of these guys in, and with Tony, once you establish the relationship of like, yeah, we'll just call you when there's something. I just hired you, so you're not in the Fed. That's the only reason he hired Miro. Let's be honest. That's not going to work. Like, that's on Tony, which again, they are saying here, but just to add to what I guess Brian and Dave, well, Dave wasn't saying much, but to add to what Brian's saying, like, when you establish that relationship right offhand, you fucked yourself. And they let Miro, and here's the thing, Dave and Brian had no problem with Miro. They were putting over his Mickey Mouse shirt when he came out wearing that fucking Mickey Mouse shirt, and it's game over, and he's wearing pink pants and flip-flops and fucking doing arcade matches with Chuck Taylor. Dave and Brian were glazing that shit. That was one of the huge, when Miro came in and they didn't book him correctly, that was one of the, like, right off the rip, you were like, holy shit, this is what they're doing with him. It was one of the immediate fuck ups for me where I was like, oh no, Tony Khan, what are you doing? Who's booking this shit? Miro's an awesome name, but like you gotta, this is not right. You need to be doing this. You can't let him do this. Like, what is he doing? Who came up with this? And yeah, so Brian's spitting here, but I'm not giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt here. But here is Brian. He got outraged there a couple times. So, you know, he seemed legit in his outrage, and there's levels to it, right? You can see his sarcasm. There, he seemed legit pissed at Tony Khan. Now, here's him being completely fake about what a depressing, miserable show this was. It's incompetence. And this cannot be. Is this about the MSG NXT? We didn't even talk about that on the show. You're a poet and didn't know it. I don't know, man. The crowd was raucous. Like, they were going fucking nuts for most of the stuff. A lot of people online were glazing this show. I love NXT, so like I'm kind of biased that way to where I don't know. I enjoy what they do. I understand it's developmental and shit. Brian, though, he's just so mad you guys notice that the faux outrage comes towards TNA and NXT is what we've been chronicling here on this program.
Every match on this show was a heel win.
Who cares? Oh my God, who gives a fuck?
Every single match. Heel goes over. Heel goes over. Heel goes over. Javon, screw you. Heel goes over. Tatum, screw you. Heels go over. I was like, oh my God. Are you trying to just run off the entire audience?
No, that's called getting heat. You don't run off audiences when you have heat on heels, and not every card can always be a mix. This is the thing. They're like, there's a variety in AEW. Nope, it's just long matches and people running in. Okay? And then they say TNA is going to TNA. Then how have they turned things around? Because they don't do all this crazy shit. You guys just haven't been paying attention to it. So when they do some shock, like, oh, we're going to switch the title after the month break, you're like, oh, they're just TNA-ing again. When it's like, no, dude, they're trying to shock you because they're about to start going live every week. Okay? I don't know how that's so hard to understand. And then with NXT, he's like, every heel won. What are they trying to drive everyone away?
God, what a depressing.
No one's tuned into a show to see a fucking heel get his ass whipped or four.
Miserable show this was.
Maybe the main roster has told Sean, we're bringing this kid up pretty soon. We're just waiting for the right time. Don't put a belt on him because you're not going to get any notice.
Fucking, there you go. Boom, Lance. See, Canadians, we're smart folk up here there, buddy.
So they're using him still while waiting for him to vanish and disappear. We are getting to Rumble time. He may be gone soon, so they don't want to belt the kid.
Why is Brian has consistently expressed his dislike for NXT? Why is this surprising? It's not surprising at all. We're just making fun of him, dude.
How many of these people go back and forth show to show carrying their belts everywhere?
But they may just want Javon brought up and left alone. It's possible.
Okay.
When it's a developmental territory, you can't just book for yourself.
Brother, Tatum Paxley.
Ask Jim Cornette.
Tatum Paxley had that belt for 9 days. The Royal Rumble is in 10 weeks.
I'm not defending Tatum. I'm defending potentially not pushing Javon.
Positive that Javon.
Yeah, like, okay, see, Brian, you can't, yeah, he just completely shifted. Let me bring this back. He just shifted the goalpost hard there. And Lance is trying to get, like, this is why it's just phony faux outrage. Listen to logic, Brian, and you wouldn't be so fake outraged, right? And that's why, chat, I'm not surprised by this. We're chronicling the faux outrage. I thought that was obvious.
Book for yourself.
Brother, Tatum Paxley.
Ask Jim Cornette.
Tatum Paxley had that belt for 9 days. The Royal Rumble.
They held it for 9 days. Can you believe they did a shock transitional title win? No, they're trying to keep you on your fucking toes, bro.
Rumble is in 10 weeks.
I'm not defending Tatum. I'm defending potentially not pushing Javon.
Positive that Javon could win a title and lose it back before the Royal Rumble.
Okay, but then you'd cry about it, Brian. Then you'd be crying, Brian. Then you would fucking sit there and go, oh, can you believe that they took the belt off him in 9 days? You were just crying about heel win, heel win, heel win.
Bro. They clearly have no issue with that. It is incompetence.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's incompetence. Lance Storm's face is like, no, bro, you're incompetent. You're literally not listening. You're pushing this faux agenda of trying. And Lance Storm smells the bullshit a mile away, buddy. He can smell it from his igloo there, bud. I just don't know why it's just faux outrage when it comes to NXT and TNA. That's what I'm going to leave it at. I've harped on it so much. I can't reiterate the same thing I've already said. They are just shitting on TNA and NXT as much as they can. Dave and Bryan are, because they know that that's the real competition, AEW. So if they can do their part to chip away, and we'll be critical of AEW and Tony Khan, but, well, Bryan will, but I'm going to spurg out and be super extra when it comes to AEW, or pardon me, NXT and TNA. That's what this is all about. And that's why we forever clown you, Bryan, because it's fake, it's phony. You're a big fat phony. Bryan. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer. Dama. Moment of the week. We burnt him. We roasted him. We cooked him. He got burnt to a crisp. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button. Thank you for tuning in. About 2 hours.